Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about intervals. For those of you wondering, curious, maybe you're new to piano, maybe you've been playing for a couple of years and still need a refresher. Let's get into it. So what an interval is the distance between two notes on the piano. We have keys on the piano and they are either white or black. So if you go up by the white keys, you will notice that some of them have the black keys in between. So play two of the white keys and tell me if there is a black note in between those two. So there is between these. Is there a black key between these? Yes. How about here? Yes. How about here? This one is the exception. There are two exceptions. Between B and C, there is no black key in between these. And between E and F. So those two, and they happen all over the keyboard. Those two notes are where there is no black key. So what that means is these two notes here are a half step apart. Half step. If they are right next to each other, they are a half step. So, for example, if we have these two, which has a black key in the middle, they are not right next to each other. They are next to the black key. So this we call a whole step because we have one note in the middle, which is a half step, and two half steps make a whole step. So we go up two half steps, and that's a whole step there. So we have a whole step here, we have a half step. Now if we go down, we have a whole step here. Likewise, if we go up on C, we have a whole step. So we're going to start with the C major scale. Now the C major scale is made up of whole steps and half steps. The first one being a whole step, like we talked about, there's a black key in the middle. The second interval is a whole step. The third interval, that is where the half step is, because there's no note in the middle. The fourth is a whole step, because we have black key in the middle. Whole step, half step. So we did whole, half, whole, half. And that is the formula for major scales. So now we're going to talk about intervals. Intervals are the distance between two notes. So if we went C to G, we're going to count C as 1. So we're going to number the notes of the scale here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when we get back to C, that's 1 again, because you could start here on the 1. So there are 7 notes. 5, 6, 7. And say you went from 1 to the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a 5th interval. Let's say you go 1 to the 6th note, C to A. That is a 6th interval. Let's say you go 1 to the 3rd note. That's a 3rd interval. 1 to the 2nd note. 2nd interval. 4th interval. So let's start on C and go through all of the intervals within the C major scale. C to D is the 2nd interval. C to E is the 3rd. C to F is the fourth. C to G is the fifth. C to A is the sixth. C to B is the seventh. And C to the next C is an octave. Octave means 8 notes. So here I'm going to write in the intervals how they are written in actual music. Let's start with the C major scale we have been playing on the piano. Here's C, here's D. Okay, we're going to stop on B because, like I said, C is just the start of the next one. Now, we are alternating between lines and spaces here. The first note is on a line. Do you see the line going through it? The second note is a space note. No line through it. The third note has a line through it. The fourth one is a space. The next one is a line. The next one is a space. So when you alternate like that, you are going up each note one at a time. So note by note, you're going one to the next one to the next one, the next nearest note. So C to D, this was our second interval. C to E was our third. C to F is our fourth. C to G is our fifth. C to A is our sixth. And C to B is our seventh interval. All of the ones that I wrote on the board are major intervals because they are based on the C major scale. So when you are basing your intervals off of a major scale, like the notes we have here that fit the C major scale, they are major intervals. Now, in classical theory, the major fourth, the major fifth, and the major octave are called perfect intervals. So we are going to put a P before the 4, before the 5, and before the octave, which we don't have, but we'll go ahead and draw it in here. C is the 8, so P8. Now, the rest of them are major. So what that means is major 6, major 7, major 2, and major 3. Okay, so those are your major intervals and how you write them. So from C to D, we have a major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, and perfect eighth. So those are your intervals for the major scale. Now we're going to erase the intervals and we're going to make our scale minor. Okay, the minor scale, the natural minor scale, has a flat third. So we go 1, 2, 3, and put a flat on it. It also has a flatted sixth. So the A is the sixth note of the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a flatted seventh. So B is our seventh. We're going to flat it there. Now, instead of the third being major, like in our major scale, it is minor. Because it moved down a half step from the C to the E, we have C to E flat. So we're going to call that our minor. Oops. Minor is a lowercase m, minor third. We still have a major second here. We have a perfect fourth. We have a perfect fifth. We have a minor sixth. a minor seventh, and a perfect octave. So now our minor intervals look like this. Major, second,
minor, third, perfect fourth, oops, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, minor seventh, and perfect
octave. There. This is your intro to major intervals and minor intervals. Now I will show you the minor intervals on the piano. So here is our minor scale. C to D is second, C to E is our minor third, fourth, fifth, minor sixth, minor seventh, perfect octave. So the difference is the third from the major to the minor, the sixth, and the seventh. Many of you out there probably want to know why this is important. Why should we learn a major scale? And my answer to you is that there are major scale passages in classical music where if you can recognize them and you know that it's a major scale, then you'll know how to play it that much easier rather than reading note by note. Another thing with intervals, you can look at the distance between the notes written on the grand staff. So if a note goes from a space to the next space up, that's a third. And you have to, of course, check the key signature to make sure it's a major or minor third, but we'll talk about key signatures in another lesson. That about wraps it up for our theory lesson number 1 on the topic of intervals. Thank you for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll be doing more videos in the near future, so stay tuned. Bye!